Watched by many, many people, not just journalists, but analysts across the board. And Kwandiwe Kondlo from the University of Johannesburg is one such analyst, and he joins us now to give us his thoughts on the race. Thanks very much indeed. Always a pleasure to have you in studio.
Thanks, Peter.
All right, so we've had the BGMs, the PGCs, and most elective conferences.
Yeah.
Where are you sitting in terms of the state of the race?
Peter, to be honest, things are still quite uncertain. Because if you look at the PGC and the pronouncements made, the impression that at the moment the general public is getting is that Cyril Ramaphosa is actually leading. But I can tell you there are grey areas and there are a lot of issues you should not undermine. Number one, in Mpumalanga, the unity vote, which I think in the end is likely to be, well, it's a bargaining chip by Mabuza, but it's going to play in Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma's favor. You see? Another grey area is whether people who go there as delegates will actually stick to the mandate of their branches and the provinces. Because at the end of the day, people are going to vote there as delegates, as individuals, and in my understanding, it's a secret vote. Yeah, that's why things are so unclear at the moment, whether you can really confirm and say Cyril is leading, or whether in South Africa we'll have another Trump-like victory.
And I suppose this plays into the ANC's committee that's led by Fikile Mbalula. They were talking about they need to relook the way that party leaders are elected. What do you think informed this? And, you know, they've had many years to look at this. What's prompted it now?
There's a lot at stake, Peter. There's a lot at stake. And secondly, I think the moral fibre of the ANC as an organization has really declined under Jacob Zuma. The moral leadership of the ANC in society has become so questionable. In fact, it's so decimated. That is why you find that people are now starting to come with all the checks and balances before a conference. Whereas if the ANC continued on the path that Thabo Mbeki started. Remember the 1999 conference of the ANC, which actually launched what some of us called the modernization project of the ANC. Mbeki's attempts, assisted by Joel Nechitenze, to actually shift the ANC from the mindset of a liberation movement to the mindset of a governing party in a liberal democracy. That project was disrupted in Polokwane. And that project was abandoned. The politics of greed, thugs masquerading as political leaders, this whole thing started from there. And this is what we are reaping as the ANC and as the country as a whole.
So do you think there was a problem with the voting process? Because Fikile Mbalula was talking about people should vote directly now and not to have their votes carried by delegates to Congress. What's prompted this in your view?
I think what's prompting this is actually organizational intrigue, serious mistrust. Trust as a capital within the ANC is completely depleted, you see. And secondly, I think they're trying to make sure that whoever wins, the voting process will not be challenged. That's why I'm talking about the checks and balances at the last hour. It's because the organization as a whole is in tatters.
He runs a renewal committee, and I think you've started to answer my next question. And this is a narrative we've heard for quite a while now, that the organization will look at itself, self-correct, and renew. Have things changed at all in the past 10 years?
Peter would be lying to say things changed in the past 10 years? Well, of course, in 2008, after Mr. Zuma won the Polokwane conference, well, there was a lot of thrill that here is a people's man, so down to earth, and is going to change the way how the ANC operates. He's going to be so accessible to the people. The organization is going to go back to its foundation, whereby it becomes a people's organization. And Mbeki, the ANC was seen as being too elitist. It was accused of intellectual arrogance, you see. But I can tell you that ever since Mr. Zuma came to power, we've started to see the ANC fracturing and fracturing. And we've started to see the role of money in the ANC playing a pivotal role in every space. Because I'm telling you, as we move towards this conference, there's going to be a lot of money exchanges which then sway the positions certain delegates have been mandated to take by their branches.
All right, let's take a look at some issues that have played out in some provinces. Let's start with the Eastern Cape. Premier Maswale, 4 mayors have been called to Kalata House. Is this going to have any influence whatsoever in what happens next at conference? Or, you know, this has been an issue that's been out there for a while. The Public Protector's report, some people might say the timing is curious, or is it just coincidental?
That's a difficult one, Peter, because I can't firmly say that it was planned to release the report at this time in order to influence something. I don't want to get to that extent. But I think the Public Protector's report itself and the issues it raises are going to be debated for quite some time. I don't see it having quite a significant and immediate effect on what is going to happen as we move towards the conference itself. Yeah.
Free State finally getting to do their provincial elective conference this weekend, been postponed twice before. So we've got our nominees, but does it tell us a story, at least, about the state of the Free State and what will happen in terms of the race?
The Free State is quite a small province, yes, and actually expect their delegation not to be quite significant, yes, in influencing the direction of this particular conference. But the developments in the Free State say a lot about leadership. Ace Magashule has been the leader of the ANC in that province for quite a long time. Many people who are unhappy by him have been squashed out of the organization, removed from government. In fact, he's really, literally the boss of the province. And I think, really, even after their conference, there could be some legal challenges again.
All right, talking about legal challenges very briefly, Matthews Posa versus David Mabuza. Posa has filed court papers. Can this be a problem?
I don't think it's going to be a problem. The conference is going to proceed. But the issues that Matthew Posa, if they stand the day in court, it will depend, really, how the court decides. But I don't really see it really foistering the road to the conference as a whole.
All right, so we're going to have to leave it there. We've run out of time, but we've got 9 days to continue to speculate. Kwandiwe Kondlo, thank you very much indeed for sharing your thoughts this evening.
Thank you, Peter.
All right.